Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Video Clips. Lots of interesting things to share with you, but first, let me give you a list of upcoming free things that you might want to take advantage of. The next free tour of Wellness Forum, where I take you through our websites and our platforms and let you see what we offer and discuss membership options. And then you get a free health Q&A with me that lasts for about maybe a half hour, 45 minutes. That is tomorrow. And then the next one will be after Labor Day. Can't believe it's already Labor Day already, right? Next free healthcare workshop is a sample class, a little bit of research skills, a little bit of clinical skills, a little bit of business training, a little bit of behavior change. That is September 13th, or I'm sorry, August 22nd. My bad. And then the next Building Your Own Local Tribe is September 13th. Don't forget my virtual yoga. I have 4 spots left, I think, in that fall class. Our phenomenal food, if you're worried about securing food supplies and that sort of thing, our stuff is shelf stable. We ship it any place in North America. And then we have a lot of special offers right now, and I'm not going to try to go through all of them. I'm just going to let you know that they come into 3 different categories. One is you invest $1,000 in selected programs and you get $1,000 credit toward more of them. The second one is a 2-month or more purchase of our smoothie supplies. You guys watched me a few weeks ago make a smoothie on this very video. And you can get some options free. All right, so there's some free stuff. And then matching funds for professional development programs. All right, so if you're interested in that stuff, send me an email. I'll send you back a document to look at. And if you want to talk about it further, you can send me an email back and we'll schedule a time to talk. And there are almost 50 different things you can choose from, something for everybody. All right, so I won't try to go through the whole list. You guys know fall semester is coming soon. We have amazing programs, a lot of stuff that you can get for free if you want. So with that, let's go to today's topic, which is the growing discontent with our current healthcare system. Everybody's feeling it. Health professionals often say they'd like to work outside of institutional medicine. Patients would like to visit docs and others who work outside of the system. But there are some things that have to change in order for a healthcare system to develop and to be sustainable. It's easy to just go set something up. The question is, does it exist a year, 2 years, 3 years from now? The most important thing is we've got to rein in the costs. Every medical institution in your county and mine relies on huge subsidies from federal and state governments. They would go bankrupt quickly without these huge payments, and an independent healthcare system would be divorced from the mandates and rules that govern healthcare, which people would like to leave behind, but also from the subsidies. So the responsibility for cost reduction is both for the consumer and health professionals to pay attention to. Consumers have to stop asking for products and services that aren't effective, and healthcare providers have to stop recommending them. And by the way, the problem is not limited to conventional medicine. Alternative providers and consumers of alternative practices are just as good at jacking up bills for ineffective products and treatments as are any medical doctor working in a big system and his or her patients, right? So I think this is a one size fits all. We all have to pitch in and do better. Really, that's what I'm saying. Now, to give you an idea of the scope of this problem, read Vinay Prasad's book, Ending Medical Reversal. We covered this book in our Healthy Book Club last month. And Dr. Prasad is speaking at our conference this fall. And I wanted to share with you just a couple of things from the book because it goes to this issue of costs. Because one thing is, does it work and does it help or hurt people? But the other thing is the cost of this stuff. Really, we have to pay attention. So Dr. Prasad defines a medical reversal and how it impacts patient care and costs thusly. All right, a hypothesized treatment becomes the standard for millions of people. Billions of dollars are spent on it before there is enough research to justify it. The treatment is often based on sound reasoning, but not sound evidence. You've heard me talk about this in reference to the vitamin D misunderstandings. Eventually, research shows that the hypothesis was incorrect and the treatment already widely used is ineffective and maybe even harmful. And then, eventually, then it takes forever. And I'll show you some examples of things you might not have thought of. It's almost impossible to get, once you let the horses out of the barn, to get them back into the barn. So even though we know it doesn't work, we keep doing it. It's one of the things that's created distrust in the system, and one of the reasons why healthcare costs are so high. So, and it's more common than many people realize. And I'm just going to give you a couple of examples from the book that will give you an idea of how widespread it is and also what the costs are. So let's talk about joint pain for a minute. Arthroscopic surgery to repair meniscal tears doesn't help. But each year, 700,000 Americans have this procedure, and the cost collectively is like $4 billion a year. In 2013, there were two studies performed. One compared surgery followed by physical therapy to physical therapy alone, no difference. And the second one compared the meniscal tear surgery to a sham surgery, no difference. And by the way, the placebo response to sham treatment is real, most common for treatments that purport to reduce pain. And again, note the time. This all happened 10 years ago, and the procedure is just as popular, if not more so now, than it was then. And by the way, people who claim that they're very interested in their health and informed about their health sign up to do things like this every single day. Here's another example that deals with treatment for high blood pressure. Atenolol is a beta blocker that dramatically was shown to lower blood pressure when it first hit the market. In fact, it became the trial standard for a few decades, and the trial standard means that new drugs have to be proven to be better than it to be on the market, right? So you had to prove it was better than atenolol before you could put a new blood pressure drug on the market. In 2002, after 20 years, the LIFE trial results were published, which compared atenolol to a newer drug, losartan. People who took losartan had fewer strokes and lived longer than people who took atenolol. But here's the most important thing. In 2004, a pooled analysis showed that atenolol was no better than placebo. It lowered blood pressure, but it did not decrease the risk of heart attack or death, which is the reason why people take it. They don't want just good markers. They want to live for a long time. They don't want to have an event. A recent study showed that another beta blocker, no different, no better than atenolol. And so the take-home point is beta blockers slightly reduce the risk of stroke, but they don't extend life. They don't really work for their stated purpose, but billions of dollars spent still every year on these drugs. Last example, stents to open blockages. The COURAGE trial showed that stents open blockages, but they don't reduce the risk of events or death. The paradigm was correct that ruptures can take place in diseased atherosclerotic arteries that lead to blood clots and in the vessel and to myocardial infarction. But the problem and the flaw in the theory is that plaque rupture can occur in any vessel, not just the ones that are narrowed enough to cause chest pain. So you have miles of arteries, and if you've got cardiovascular disease anywhere, you got it everywhere. And so we don't have any roto-rooter system to root out all the crud and restore the arteries to health. So chest pains will relieve chest pain. Stents will relieve chest pain temporarily, by the way, but they don't improve outcomes. In fact, by the time a stent versus a sham procedure, you get 6 months out, there's no difference between the two groups of people. Well, how does this all happen and what do we do about it? Well, first of all, if you want to learn more about the topic, plan to attend our fall conference, November 3rd through 5th, which is virtual this year. 3 days of education, including a keynote address with Dr. Prasad for only $259 for members and $299 for non-members. Second, if you're a health professional, commit to being retrained. I mean, I had to re-engineer myself from all my inaccurate training, and I know what it's like. It's hard to admit you were wrong about a lot of things, but almost all that I learned was wrong. It starts with learning how to differentiate sound reasoning from solid evidence. Again, I'll point out the vitamin D misunderstandings and the widespread prescribing of vitamin D is a very good example of it, and how to help patients make more informed decisions. And consumers, you're the key. We who are healthcare consumers are the key. We are the ones who can change the system. Because if we stop asking for tests, drugs, supplements, and treatments that don't work, and we stop asking that our insurance companies pay for all of it or as much as possible, we withdraw financial support from the system, make ourselves better consumers and people who would not bankrupt a new system. And by the way, I know shameless self-promotion here, but Wellness Forum membership has been for almost 3 decades now, the way that people learn how to do it. And I can tell you, we do keep some data on our people. We keep a lot actually in the aggregate, and our seasoned members spend about 60% less on healthcare than people who are not so trained. So this is a fixable problem. But I think people have this unrealistic idea that what's going to happen is we're just going to, we're just going to set up a system and everybody's just going to go to a different place. But if you just move the buying behavior to a different location, it doesn't change anything. You have to change the buying behavior and the prescribing behavior, and those two things have to intersect. I have wanted to, and I think we have the resources to start an independent healthcare system at some point, and we'll do it. But the big thing that would trigger it would be enough educated consumers and enough providers who meet together to create a system. So that's basically it. I thought this book was incredible. If you can subscribe to Vinay Prasad's Substack, and you'll see he's talking a lot in the same vein about what works, what doesn't work, et cetera, as it applies to current events as well, and current medical practices. And I like the fact that he's not really very concerned about making people angry. He's real concerned about telling the truth about things and letting the chips fall where they may, which is always sort of what I've done in my career. All right, that's it for today. As usual, I'll pass this on to anybody who you think would enjoy watching it, and I'll be back to you tomorrow with more news.